What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. It's your first time joining the show. Welcome to the show. I'm in my hotel in Boston. Boston, baby. Because I'm playing 2 shows tonight and 2 shows tomorrow night at the Wilbur Theater. Get tickets at andrewsantino.com. My guest today, the final guest of the year, is Rachel Feinstein. I love Rachel so much. She's so funny. Go see her live in all of 2023. And come see me tonight and tomorrow, my last 4 shows of the year at the Wilbur Theater in Boston, Massachusetts. AndrewSantino.com is where you get those tickets. AndrewSantino.com. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again today. It is the first time this human's been on this show, and I can't believe it because I'm such a big fan. It's Rachel Feinstein.
Thank you
Was that
for
a good intro?
having me. That was delightful.
Yeah, it sounded good. I'm a little stuffy, as you guys can hear, because I probably have RSV too. Do you know this RSV that's going around?
No, I heard that.
I think I got it.
Really? I thought
Well-
it was like a kid thing.
I'm a little boy.
No boy.
I think I'm obviously not contagious anymore. I tested for COVID because I'm still shooting, and then I asked the nurse. I was like, "Hey, I had this for like a week, and now I don't feel anything. I just am this." She's like, "Yeah, I think that's like 1 out of every 3 people we're talking to and testing." She's like, "Has this
RSV thing.
well, whatever this is. I don't. It's like a head cold."
You're gangrenous,
I know.
teeming with AIDS.
And I
No,
thought
I'm serious.
Truvada would work, or whatever the medication is called. I see those medications for HIV medication, like the commercials for them, so much that I'm like, they do have the cure. They're just like, this is a tease.
They're sitting on it.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, but this will suppress it to the point where it's not even noticeable. And you're like, oh, so you can cure it? And they're like, no, maybe. Come back to us in 5 years. We'll tell you.
I
We'll
feel
tell
like
you.
certain people, they're just like they
Yeah,
give
yeah, yeah.
They like have a shot.
If you pick up the phone and you're worth X amount of dollars,
Yeah.
you got the person on the other line that goes,
Certain
"We
zip
got it."
codes. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think
stop on by?
Yes. Swing by. Beverly Hills, swing on by. Mm-hmm. South LA, we'll give it some
Let's
time.
go to a caller.
Yeah. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to the phones. First of all, we're wearing the same colored shirt.
Oh my God, we are. And I never wear this color.
And you, why do you not? I don't wear, you know what's so funny? I didn't initially, I got this from a friend and it just looked comfy. But
Yeah,
that's
what I thought too. I was like,
but
oh, this looks
color
satisfying.
isn't my color either.
I don't
because
know.
I'm a orange guy.
I hear.
So colors are hard. Like you, a tan brunette, you can wear whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm a swarthy Mediterranean, so I have to put on a duster of some sort. I don't know.
Swarthy
know what I'm
Mediterranean is a great name for like an album or a book.
Maybe.
Swarthy
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Mediterranean. Well, what are your parents?
My mom she converted. My mom is Jewish. I mean, no, my mom is Jewish now, but she was like,
She converted to Judaism.
Yeah, she
So
converted
she was
to
a
Judaism.
human before, and then
she was a human, and then she grew some pretty thick, dense horns. Yeah.
And
My brother went to college at Ithaca, and he, I don't know why it said the name. I guess I'm name dropping, but he went to Ithaca, and his roommate had never met a Jew, and then in the middle of the night asked if, seemed a little bit frightened, and he later told my brother, I guess they'd been friends for a couple months. It became quite close, but he was like real sheepish at first. And then he told my brother, they like had a beer, and he was like, dude, I thought you guys had horns, but like I found out you didn't. And
he
like
really bought it.
believed it.
Wow.
Like was frightened to live with my brother because he thought that his horns were going to slowly be growing at night. And then they like had a beer. I would do anything, Andrew, to hear that discussion between 2 dudes like at a bar.
I really thought you were going to have horns.
Yeah, but they really didn't. Just want to say, like, I'm sorry that I thought
Sorry.
that you were going to have someone I was watching at night for your horns to grow. My brother's like real introverted. So he was probably like, no problem, man. And they like
Didn't want to
grunted
talk about
once,
it. Yeah.
and that was the end of it. But
Well,
yeah.
you know what they say: your nose never stops growing, your ears, and your horns, and your horns never stop growing. They'll
Yes.
grow for the rest. This is something I actually learned on the internet that I thought was bullshit, but it's true. A woman's clit never stops growing.
Oh, can we play some soft piano music? Please?
It never stops
What's
growing.
his name? Joe?
Huh?
Your editor? Your
Joe.
editor?
Yeah, my editor.
Joe, we're going to need some soft piano music for that. Really lengthen out that sentence.
I'll say it again, Joe. You know a woman's clit never stops growing?
I know. That's what he says
Soft
on first
jazz.
dates as he's gently lifting up a
Yeah,
woman's
you know
chin.
your clit never stops growing.
As he's taking off her glasses and going, you know, you really are quite pretty.
That's a real
Slow,
scientific
soft
fact.
face rake. No, I didn't know that.
It's real. It never stops growing, which I thought was fascinating. And I thought, what's the purpose?
What is the purpose?
What's the purpose? Why would it need to
guess.
stop growing?
I mean,
To make it
kind of
easier for these men to find.
Oh,
Hey!
boss, Dad.
We'll be
fucking
right back.
boss. Stop weaponizing our strength. Andrew, stop weaponizing my strength and power and sass.
I'm trying my best. By the way, we were talking a little bit off air about it, and we can talk on air about it because it'll have already happened by the time this podcast comes out, but you're going to be on the roast
For Bert Kreischer.
for Bert Kreischer. Mm-hmm. How was it? It already happened. How was it?
It was fucking amazing,
You
and
killed.
I did a lot of networking. I was mostly here just to network. I said that to somebody the other night at the store, and I was like, I think he thought I was being serious. Like, I think I have to softly undo that.
There's enough people that you would say that to, they would buy.
They would just genuinely say they were here to network.
Yeah. This city is a city of that thing.
Vile.
Well, in New York, it's the polar opposite vibes when you go to perform. In fact, I like it so much that I might be going there.
I know
for a
that made me
while.
really excited.
Yeah. I just like the well, I wanted to change anyway, and also New York is humming again, and LA kind of stopped. The vibration went away. Whatever
Yeah.
was here at some point kind of has dissipated, but New York's version of networking is is relationships growing. Like that's what I kind of love so much. Was here. That's not really it. It's kind of this is definitely every person for themselves out here.
In New York, I feel like we probably should talk about the business more. We just complain about other horse shit and talk about our,
But that's
lives
good.
and relationships and analyze things and because I was like that would be so fun because you go to like Chinese food with me and Sam and
Yes.
yeah, and I
Yes.
was like I could see that because I felt like you seemed like an East Coast guy. Like not that I considered moving out here because my niece and nephew are out here and my family's from California, so not to like bash California, but I was like. I sense that sometimes when I'm out here that like when people make a plan, I don't know if it's a plan, it's like a sort of vague idea of a plan. But with you, I was like, you were just like, oh, let's do this thing. And I was like, oh, we'll do that thing.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's just
I
like
try
an
my
actual
best.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I try my best to stay human and like go through with it. The problem is the longer you live out here, culturally, a lot of people just don't adhere to any sort of schedule or they just don't. They'll say a thing, but we do have to get drinks, and then it just will never ever happen.
Yeah,
and which is like okay, that's fine.
Sure.
But I just feel like a culture shift is nice, and I want I do want the. I just want to. I guess I want to feel New York at my age now. You know, I'm almost 40.
In the winter of your life.
Yeah, this is
like
this is the
35,
cold
right?
years. Yeah, I'm 39. I feel like this is the cold year. From here it goes out. I want to be attacked in the subway before I die. That is
will
what
be
I want.
too.
Yeah, I can't.
Fucking
I can't
fresh
wait.
cupcake like you. Just wait till they get their mitts on. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right now.
So wait a minute. Did you grow up in New York? Your mom?
Sorry, you asked me a question.
No, but I said your mom is a convert.
Yes.
Your old man, Jewish guy from L.A.
My dad, was born in Queens, Rockaway, Queens, little Howie Feinstein. Everybody, very arousing name.
Howie
So,
Feinstein.
If you want to take a moment with that. Howie Feinstein, born in Queens, and then his family moved. I don't know if you know much about sports. I don't know about sports,
do.
but okay. So my dad is like a diehard Giants fan, baseball team.
yes.
So I guess the Giants moved to San Francisco right around the time from New York, right around that time he did. So it felt like this magical.
It was happening
move.
for him.
Yeah, like the team moved for my
Right,
dad. Yeah,
right.
like my dad. Only time I've ever seen him cry was like at the Baseball Hall of Fame and the movie Deer Hunter. But like not a she didn't shed a tear at my wedding. By the way, at my wedding, he was kind of like in a rush. Like when we were walking down the aisle, I was like, Dad, that's not really the vibe. Like he's like, oh, come on, we gotta go. Let's go. I'm like, no, Dad, he's like, oh, no, we need to get down there. I'm like, I literally says so much. I positioned his hand. I was like, your hand should go like here, and there's it's like a moment.
There's
like,
a rhythm to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just real stressed the way he would get like when people would visit us to like come see the monuments. Oh, I hated going to see the monuments.
The monuments?
There's like these Washington monuments. I'm like, I don't want to go down to DC. And like, I felt that like archaic boredom the way I would like when my mom would bring me like to like a carpet store or like a Circuit City or something.
Oh my God.
So my dad was like, oh, we got to get to the monument. And it was just this frantic, furious energy. Like, pack some trail mix. And that was the vibe on my wedding.
He was very much a dad. Your dad was a dad.
A dad.
Like
and
born
also,
to be a dad.
Yes. But like emotionally a desert. Just like.
So a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what dads are.
Yeah.
They can't
traumatized. Yeah.
Like you've never seen your father cry until you were an adult.
But I sense that your dad was like a man, whereas my dad has like couldn't operate a fuse box and has like a never-ending sinus infection. I feel like your dad would like be able to fix. I feel like you come from like men that could like.
He would use the fuse box to fix your dad's sinus infection. Is what would happen. You figure that out, right? Say, all you got to do is connect this bulb, put it up your fucking head. Stop being a pussy. Drink this, and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
It was very much. Yeah, my dad was very much.
Your dad could probably like take apart things, like engines and things. My parents would just get re-raped by
my dad could take apart entire family.
Did he? Wait, did you have a temper?
My dad, no, not a temper, but was a bad. I don't even know how to say it. It was like he was really good at being a fun guy, but not a dad guy. Like, my parents split when I was a little kid because he was like so loving, fun, sweet guy. Yeah, couldn't stop the fun.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Was he a drinker?
Coke.
Oh, God bless him.
Liked drinking a little bit, but loved Coke.
Loved himself some blow. Did you know this when you were growing up? This is fascinating. No, I love hearing about
when I was a kid, I knew, well, when my dad went to prison the first time, he went multiple times. I remember asking my mom, because my fear did he hurt anybody? Because when you're a kid, you think prison is, when you're a kid, you hear prison, you're like, you killed somebody.
No, I know. I remember being in the grocery store with my mom and some kids were like taking like those candy, like chocolate covered almonds. My mom was like, that's called like stealing, you know? And I was like, they're going to go to jail. They're robbers. I was like, we're watching robbers.
Ooh,
you know,
we're
like,
watching a crime.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that's what you think of as jail. Yeah.
My mother taught me that it was not, that he wasn't like a violent person or didn't hurt anybody else. He was hurting himself.
Was it from stealing? Was it from dealing blow?
Dealing blow and then being involved with people in that world. You know what I mean? He was a bad boy.
Yeah, he sounds like he was a naughty boy.
He was. But
was he funny?
Man.
My dad was really funny,
He
too.
just like, and could get along with anybody, right? Like, so predominantly worked a contractor. Come on, of course.
Yeah, see, I knew you came
predominantly
from
worked
men's men.
in like the west sides and south sides of Chicago, which are traditionally black neighborhoods in Chicago, and loved working in those neighborhoods because he fashioned himself like a man of the people, and he was very much like didn't like the upstairs. You know what I mean? Like talked down to about wealthy people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thought of himself very much like I'm a blue collar guy. Like I work for the people.
Yeah.
So he would go to these neighborhoods, and he loved working in lower income neighborhoods, and everybody fucking liked this guy. Like I'd go on runs with him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When he would pick me up, we'd go to South Side Chicago, and it'd be an all black neighborhood. And my dad's confidence level, even though he's walking into a neighborhood where traditionally...
Was he handsome? He sounds kind of hot.
He was kind of, he
sounds hot.
He was when he was young.
Yeah.
When he was young. Now they're all old. They all look like
it's a
shit.
wrap at a certain point. That's why it was so funny at my wedding. There was all these like long discussions about my mom and my husband's mom was gonna like wear. I'm like, who cares? It's like it's over. Yeah, it's a wrap.
Done. No one's looking at you.
Who cares what smock some 75-year-old bitch is in? It's done. I hope I know when it's complete wrap. You know what I mean? Like when it's real. But there was just so many discussions and like my dress. I'm like, who? It's like if a tree falls in the forest, what an old woman wears to a wedding. You know, like. At that point, just one piece of fabric, just some sort of tarp, and
just
it's
get a tablecloth, cut a hole in it, and wear that.
Yeah.
By the way, that's what my grandmother wore till the day she died. Was muumuus. You know muumuus?
Yes.
My grandmother. That's all I ever saw. Because she never worked. She never left the house. She smoked cigarettes, drank coffee, and sat around the kitchen in a muumuu. I never saw my grandmother outside of a home. My whole fucking life.
My grandma also wore like sort of smock like clothing.
My Italian, like the Italian side was like a cartoon. My Italian family was like a cartoon. But truly, my dad's mom, I never I don't think I remember. Maybe I'm trying to remember if we had like a family outing, but almost never. It was always food or dinner at her house, in her kitchen, and she only wore muumuus. I never saw her in traditional clothes.
Was she a good cook?
Yeah, I mean, she was a great everything. She was like the best human.
I know, I miss my grandma so much. She was so funny.
She
used to give me the most hilarious advice about men and stuff. And she would always say, all men care about is your crotch. They're like little cats. They meow to get in, and then they meow to get back out again. They always want the crotch. That's all they want.
Your crotch.
She was very funny. Like when she was like dying, my aunt interviewed her, like, and she just gave her this long interview about her life growing up in New York, and she was like hilarious and sarcastic. And then she was like, she's getting kind of gentle as she's talking about her brothers coming back from the war. And she's like, now, when Walter came back from the war, he was different, right, Mom? And she's like, well, he was crazy. He was shithouse nuts. Something was wrong. Like, she was just like, would always say exactly what was going on.
Right.
Like, I feel like her and my dad were like more of like the comics, where my mom was more of the just, yeah.
So she was baseline.
My mom is like, okay, so my mom, so my dad moved to San Francisco. He thought he was moving with the Giants, met my mom, and my dad is like, memorized like a weird amount of like sports plays and like lineups and, but like.
He loves baseball.
Baseball and sports, and he was a civil rights lawyer, so like weird information about civil rights and blues musicians. He's a blues musician now full time, but he would memorize and can play any instrument, like Zydeco, accordion, piano, plays everything by ear, just incredible. Doesn't read a note, but just can play anything, pick it up, and he's amazing.
So he's a savant. Your father.
Absolutely, yeah. He skipped like 2 grades in school, but would call me Roxanne, like fully call me. There was no Roxanne in the family, Andrew, none. He'd just be like, Roxanne, come on, we gotta go to the monuments. Justin, Aaron, Roxanne. And didn't know, like, wasn't protective at all.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of Jewish men are like that. They're not known for, like, wanting to, like, marry their daughter. There's not that weird, like, promise ring kind of daddy's first dance. Like, my dad just, like, I don't know if he's, like, even still aware that I'm a woman exactly. But, like, he was, like, not protective at all. And so, like, would just kind of... I remember one time I was getting ready for something, and my mom was like, show your dad your outfit. And I was like, he's going to say something so weird and, autistic. So I walked over to my dad. I was like, oh, here's what I'm wearing to this, like, bat mitzvah. He's like, oh, that's good. Like a ballerina. Or like you know what I would want to hear at 15. He's like a ballerina cowgirl, do a twirl. And she's like, Howard, like, nobody wants to hear that. And then she was like, she's 15. She doesn't twirl anymore. And he goes, I don't know. Like, she looks good. Like the girls in the gas stations, and they grease them up and they put them on the cars.
What the fuck?
I know. And he had no idea that all of those things were unacceptable. And the last one, obviously, was like, everybody's just like, what the fuck just happened? He's like, Roxanne, yes, the grease, the ones they grease up. It's good.
Roxanne, you look good. How did he get your mom then? How did this, look, I feel this way often when I meet couples.
Yes.
Especially like friends' parents, when I'm like, how the fuck did these two people get together?
I mean, my mom grew up in
Was she tricked?
Mojave Desert. Her dad was like, she came from a very Republican, old school Methodist family where if you had an opinion at the dinner table, you were called a commie, which I still think is so
Love
funny.
That. I do that today. Yeah.
Calling somebody a commie rat is very satisfying.
What do you do back in the Soviet Union, rat?
So my mom was like, I think there could be a different perspective on the war. Like, you commie rat? It's happening at my table right now. Oh, it makes me laugh so much. That always makes me laugh when somebody calls somebody in their own family a commie, or when somebody calls somebody in their own family dumb, like in those old shows when you know, like in the Honeymooners where they would call each other dumb. That made me laugh so much.
Yeah, that dumb broad.
Yeah.
yeah, that's just a dumb broad. My boyfriend's a fucking commie. He comes around, long fucking hair. Cut your fucking hair. That was such a weird time. Like the 50s led into this idea that if guys had long hair, you were like off your rocker weird.
Yes, you were crazy.
Yeah,
and
you were
like
a
drug
nutbag.
like you were like Manson or something.
Like, what are you gonna do with long hair? Why? I always thought that was nuts because my stepdad, his dad was a military guy.
Yeah.
So he instilled so much of that, like strict to the book, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he would tell me stuff that his dad would say, like, boys have short hair. Cut your fucking hair. Like embedded into him
What
was
else
like,
do you say? Like,
well,
I love that kind of shit. It makes me laugh so much.
the other stuff was don't trust blacks. It was stuff like
Yeah,
the
sure.
average stuff.
My friend had a dad like that, one of those really old school dads.
Yeah.
And his sex talk, very funny guy, Dave Juskow. And he's a comic now. I'm like, you have to talk about this on stage. His dad's sex talk was he just like slammed a condom on his dresser and he goes, never in the ass and hide your wallet. I'm not talking about this shit again. Never in the ass and hide your wallet.
Yeah, but I mean, true.
Solid advice.
True.
Yes.
I never had the sex talk ever. My dad, I think one time said something to the effect of like, with my then girlfriend, he's like, you guys are protecting yourselves, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay. And that was just like...
That was it.
And it's so funny.
Were you violently uncomfortable?
I was just bummed because I thought it was going to be more...
Big deal. Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a moment.
Was there anything you didn't know that you thought you might know, or did you just want to connect to him a little bit in that moment?
Connect.
Yeah.
I literally wanted like a moment of like... And the only times that my dad and I ever had those guy-to-guy moments are when something tragic happened in our lives or our family. And for some reason, it would bring out a story. Because he never really spilled stories. But unless, like, somebody passed away or something bad happened, he would be sitting or out to eat or something, and he would, just, like, open up something. And I'm like, how come you never fucking said that before? But is that because that's another generational thing of our parents, I don't know about yours, but, like, they don't talk a lot about those things. And it's like, when you start to learn more, you're like, oh, you had that too? Like, in college, I used to have ocular migraines. I would go blind in my left eye.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was, but whatever. Anyway, I would have these like crazy panic attacks because of the ocular migraines because I couldn't see. So I would go into full blown anxiety attack. And then like halfway through my healing from this and learning how to deal with it and all that stuff, my mom was like, oh, I used to have that stuff all the time.
And she never told you.
Yeah, I was like, what
before.
the fuck?
That's fascinating.
I was like, that would have been good to know when I told you when this started happening. But I just feel like that generation just doesn't.
No, that was like, I remember this family, friends of ours, like got a divorce, and my dad would go play tennis with this guy every week. And then he stopped playing tennis with them. And my mom was like, why aren't they playing tennis anymore? He's had a running game with the Friedmans or whatever. And so I guess she called his wife to like figure out, because they would never my dad had nothing to say about why they didn't play tennis anymore. He was just talking to a rock. He was too dumb to explain.
We don't play tennis anymore. That's all I'll say.
And then so it turns out like, well, a couple things. So apparently after the games, my dad was just like destroying the racket when he didn't win. Also, could the stakes be any lower than two Jews playing tennis at a local Y? Like, who could give a fuck? But apparently that's where like all my dad's emotions went. He was just wrecking rackets.
The YMCA holding your father up.
And Stan, I mean, I'm on his side. He's like, I've had enough of this shit, Howie, you know?
So he's breaking rackets.
He was breaking rackets.
Did he have a temper with you guys?
Not really. He would throw us sometimes, but usually like towards safety. It was like sort of like a toss of some sort. I remember getting hurled a lot.
Onto a bed.
Yes,
onto a bed,
on a bed or a
couch.
soft surface. But if I was in the middle of doing a bad thing, I would just feel my dumb, like, body just getting up and like hurled through the air.
Ragdoll.
So he threw his back out hurling my brother once when we were at Hershey Park, and we had to like go to the hospital because my mom's like,
he threw his back
throw
out?
him like you used to. Yeah. He was always throwing us.
The doctor knows. He's like, is from throwing the kid. The kid is getting big. You can't throw him anymore.
You can't throw him the way you used to. He would throw us, and he would just say some sort of jarring shit. But he had like a temper, but it wasn't really. It was just more spastic, like a spasm kind of temper. Ah! Like those noises. I remember the noises they would make when he would like stub his toe, or like if his team lost were really haunting to me. Like the whole house would just like a weird, inhuman, heinous sound. But he was more like deeply embarrassing, like just horrifying.
What he would embarrass you often as a kid?
Okay, so he was in this band called the Vomitones, and
Sorry?
They were called the Vomitones.
The Vomitones?
Yes. So he thought there was nothing funnier than puking, and also the Queen of England. He thought there was nothing funnier than the Queen and British royalty. And he would have these dreams where different civil rights leaders and blues musicians were puking on the Queen, and he would narrate them as if he was like a sportscaster narrating like a baseball game. And he would narrate them so loud that when I would have fucking a normal sleepover, my dad would be like, all right, This is looking good here. Guess who's going to puke in the Queen's purse? Muddy Waters. During a very important ceremony. You got to give him 7 points for that. Come on, he got some on her nose and she was holding the staff thing. That
Who
means
is he
something.
doing this to? Himself?
Himself, fast asleep
wow.
in the middle of weird, heinous, like snoring. He would be like narrating these strange vomiting dreams. Then the Vomitones, and like my friends could hear them. I just wanted like a normal dad that like smelled reasonable and didn't wear like a Vomitones hands across Uranus tour shirt that he would wear to pick me up at school. Also, it wasn't a tour. They played like 2 dive bars in Michigan.
Hey, that's a tour. That's a tour.
You would call that a
That's
tour?
a tour. Give the Vomitones some credit.
Yeah.
They got paid. They went on the road, baby. They lived that life.
At that point, he was like still a lawyer full time because he's working for the Department of Justice. He used to prosecute weird hate crimes in the South.
That's what he did full time?
Yeah. Well, when he went to college, they were like, he wanted to be a musician. He was in a band with actually one of the guys from like, I think it was the Dead and after Hebrew School. They had a little band called the Twilights. It was like
that's cuter than
Robbie
Vomitones.
Krieger or something, or Bill Kreitzman, I think, was the Twilights. And then so he had these was in these sort of bigger bands for a little, but then the parents were like, "Are you going to be a doctor or a lawyer?" Which happens a lot in those Jewish families because they come from such obscene poverty. And so he's like, "I'll be a lawyer." And then my mom said they went to UCSB. That's where they met. My mom said he would just like lay out on the beach all day and play music, never studied, like when he went to law school. And she said he would just spray his clothes with deodorant, just like a true pig, and then just like jam at night at some house. He was very smart, but like, yeah. And then he played with the Vomitones, and then they played at our school on multicultural night.
No.
Apparently somebody said they were like representing Ghana. It was like 2 Jews from Bethesda.
Okay.
There was no Ghana happening.
What was the music?
I think my dad probably just thought it was funny at the time to say that 2 Jews in Bethesda were like somehow representing Guyanese. I don't know how you say that.
Guyanese
Heritage.
people? Yeah, Guyanese heritage.
And then they played Blue Moon, and 2 of them mooned. This is like for parents and teachers, but still, like everybody, it gets around that like half my dad's band mooned the whole school in multicultural day.
Wait.
Can I have a drink?
Yes.
I'm talking too much.
Pour some of that rabbit hole in there.
Which one won't harm me?
All these are delicious. This one is finished.
Which
in
is like a
sherry
light one.
cap.
Like I drink like dumb twat drinks. I can't have something.
You like it if it's a little bit sweeter?
Yes, not too strong, not like where it burns your throat.
Well, just pour this in there and take a little tiny sip and see how you feel.
Okay.
See how you feel? What, are you already drunk? Jesus Christ, fucking spilling shit all over the place. What I find so fascinating about that is like, my parents, for what it's worth, are pretty like not stiff, but I mean, like that. At least you had an adventure, you know.
Yes.
Give it to me. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
saw your eyes.
Just a pointless hole.
It made me nervous. Yeah. You made me nervous. That's a lot, but I mean, take a sip.
Is that a lot? Okay.
No. It's not that much. I just mean, I was gonna pour a baby amount for you and see how you like it.
Yeah. It's like a little sharp, but not as sharp as some.
It's not that sharp, right?
No, it's not that bad.
Because it's finished in a sherry. Sherry, you know sherry.
It is sweet, yes.
Sherry. They'll put the whiskey and finish it in there. But what I was saying is like, my parents. I was the embarrassing thing. Like when you say like that, your dad embarrassed you. Well, because I would get in trouble. I would do dumb.
What would you
shit
get in
as a
trouble
kid.
for?
I mean, being disruptive. It was always like, Andrew.
What would you do?
Well, I mean, take over a class. I would take over a class. I would argue with
Yeah.
the teacher and make fun of them.
What would you argue with them about?
I was always a smartass. If it was like anything, okay, like I remember being, I remember in chemistry, because I didn't know, I'm not good at chemistry. Very stupid. Are you a science and math girl or no?
I was an emergency moron in school. Like I wasn't good at anything. Just real
Right,
dumb
bad.
as they come. Yeah. Bad.
But in chemistry, I got into a full-on argument over why I think we should be allowed to use experimental drugs when we're doing some of these experiments. I'm like, well, tie-dye, like tie-dye was obviously invented by people on drugs. And then I went to this big diatribe with my teacher about how like all good music was made through drugs. You couldn't make good music without drugs.
Yeah.
And that's chemistry. That's chemistry on the body. And of course, like at some point I'm just being rude and the whole class is now paying attention to me. Like it's my show, but it's not funny. It's just annoying. And the teacher was
I
like,
bet it was funny.
fuck off. Yeah, I'm sure it was at the time.
It was
but it was
funny.
me trying to, just being a jerk off. I was just a stoned
And we try to
jerk
amuse
off.
yourself and just like derail things because you were probably restless and bored.
So bored.
Yeah.
School was the most boring place on planet
Violently
Earth.
boring. I know.
Shocking. It was
Just
shockingly
terrible.
boring. I couldn't believe people could get through without, like I had a silent study class, where it's like a study hall
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
And I got kicked out every single fucking day for talking.
What would you do? Would you like make fun of shit?
Oh, yeah. And throw shit at people. It would start with something simple. Passing
would you
notes,
throw?
throwing shit, anything, calculators, whatever I had. I would see if I
Calculator's a
could throw
funny
something
thing to
across a room and get away with
Throwing
it.
things is always funny. We dissected pigs in science class, and I was like, we have to throw them later. So we like hid them and threw them on the football field.
You have
later.
to. It's
you have to throw a fetal
being disruptive
pig.
was part of my. I tell you what I did one time. This got me in bad trouble. By the way, this is before what happens. Before the bad stuff that goes on in schools today, like school shootings.
Yeah.
My buddy's brother had an airsoft gun, a BB gun, but they look very real. And I brought it to school. And I brought it to school to give to another guy.
Yeah.
But on the bus, I jokingly waved it at a car on the road as we were heading to school. And so when the bus arrived at school, there were cops there because somebody called the cops. I mean, it says like the district and the number of the bus on it. So cops were there and they were like, is there a gun on the bus? This is before all the bullshit of today. But I was shitting my pants because I had the gun in there. And of course, the argument, this isn't mine, I'm holding it for someone else. It's like the old school.
Yeah.
Okay, but why do you have it?
Why do you have
well,
it?
that's because I'm the idiot that's down to do shit like this.
Did you get in trouble? Did your parents?
I got in deep little fucking shit. And my parents both had it. My mom had to come and remove me from school grounds and the weapon. But they made it seem like I was.
Yeah, I mean, in that day, it wasn't that big a deal. It's
No.
a fucking BB gun. I remember a guy bringing a BB gun to my high school. I thought
But
it was
it
very
wa- but it's
exciting.
like the times
made for
were
a more
different.
exciting day. We used to bring Whippet tank. This Whippet tank.
Oh,
to
yeah,
lunch.
Whippet.
Whippets were delightful.
So good. So much fun.
I was in a public high school, but then it was just like, I wasn't going to make it. It was like D's and F's and just emergency moron.
Wasn't
like they
gonna
could
make it.
not. Actually, somebody we had a math tutor for me. And I found out later his name was Mr. File, and I found out later that he sexually abused a gaggle of girls.
Mr.
And
File.
Mr. File was up to no good,
First
my
name
friend.
was
I don't remember his
Pedo?
first name. I wish.
Was it Mr. Pedo?
But I remember he abused a lot of girls. My friend told me this recently, and I truly believe that he didn't. He wasn't attracted to me because I was just so dumb, and he was exhausted by me and annoyed with me.
You were
'Cause I remember
too-
being like, "Come on, that's not even the problem. It's not hard yet. I'm just explaining the first part."
Your teacher's like, Roxanne is pretty, but she's too dumb for me to even spend any time
Yeah.
with.
And I remember his wife, I do remember looking back, I was like, that's weird. His wife used to always come in the room a lot. But I think at a certain point she stopped because she was like, he's not into her. Like she infuriates him actually. Because I was just too dumb. Then every year, just meetings about me. I remember once I was like in the middle math class and I was like, wait, I'm not the lowest. There was many discussions in the family. They're like, but she's the lowest. She's the lowest though. She's not the
You heard
middle.
all this too. You knew.
Yes.
Are your
because it was-
brothers smart?
Yes.
Oh, what a bummer.
I was a middle child. It was just never ending, just like meetings, weeping about me, a lot of loud fights at night. My mom, I talked about this on stage, but my mom was like, one night, my mom was like, she's not normal, Howard, shit. I remember being in my hallway, just like shaking, like listening to that, just realizing, like slowly, I was like, oh, I'm the problem. But I just couldn't stop.
You were just bored.
I was bored.
Because you're smart. You are smart. Like
was really
you could
bored.
you could tell by the way you carry yourself. Obviously, you're intelligent. It's just I think school is not good for some people. It's
Yeah,
really
like
hard.
even to this day, when I smell a school, when I go into a school,
Uh-huh.
when I go near a school, it brings me back to that traumatizing boredom and the smell itself. I'm like, now I have to like raise a kid and be in and out of a school. Like that was one of the things I was most scared of being a parent. Because I'm like, who am I to enforce any of this? And also I have to smell that smell again and again.
Yeah.
Like I hope it's a very different experience for her. But like, I mean, I really didn't like it at all. And like, I mean, I had some fun like you.
Yeah.
I had myself a few laughs, but I was never not in summer school. I had like a summer school dance that I would do. And so I was a complete dick face. Then they just like took me to this like little Quaker school that I thought I got into, but I found out later that it wasn't like that kind of thing. It was like a last resort school.
Oh, it's almost like boarding school, but it was like a
Yeah.
higher end version.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I got into that one, like, and then they were like, no, it's like, I like read their description. It was just like
all idiots welcome.
Yeah, it's like where the troubled,
where the trouble finds freedom.
Yeah. And it was called Thornton Friends, but everybody called it Snorton Fiends because it was just like where everybody sent like the addicts and the problem kids and stuff.
But also then you developed some great relationships over there, right? I mean,
yeah, Thornton was pretty fun. It was like 60 kids in the whole school, and we had would do some whippets at lunch, and it was pretty.
Is that when you started getting into stuff? Did you do drugs back then?
I did drugs. I did acid and I did whippets a lot. I've never liked pot that much. It accentuates every quality I've been trying to like avoid. I feel like
anxiety
my whole life.
and paranoia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a good like.
It doesn't hit for
drug.
some people. It does not hit.
I had to be like at home in a very controlled situation for pot, but we would drink and do stuff. I don't think I have like a super addictive personality, but I like. But I did do coke and was like, this is delightful. I have to stop doing this.
Yeah.
I remember doing coke in my early
anybody.
20s, and I was like, this is marvelous.
I can do this all the time forever.
Yeah. I remember I was like, I have to not do this because it was so fun, just such a delight.
But when you say you don't have a addictive personality, it's funny because I feel like most comics I know do have an addictive personality, but it doesn't always find itself in substance. Like
that's probably a more accurate description.
Every comic I know is an addict of a something, whether it's the attention or money or fame or or literal substances too. But like as I've gotten older, the more comics that I meet and have seen grow through the years, the more I'm like, oh, we're all addicts of something.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny you say that actually because somebody said that to me recently because I would say my addiction probably somebody was like, you're addicted to other people's problems because that's definitely like what I'm addicted to.
That's a dangerous one too.
Yeah. It's not
like,
good.
do you feel like you need to fix friends all the time?
Oh, like everyone. Yeah. I know. It's not
what a
good.
burden to bear. Why? But it makes you feel good because you think I can save this whole thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you like, I was watching like an old video of my friend of me at this birthday party, and it's tragic. First of all, my dad gave us like $7 for a birthday party, and he'd be like, he had this lot of weird expressions, and he'd be like, "There's nothing you can't get for $7.50." Well, there's a lot you can't get for $7.50, like normal friendships, because I bring like colored pencils to a fucking birthday party. So I'd bring my colored pencils, and I could see this kid opening the next gift and like looking for the other part of it, and I was just like,
"That's it."
Yeah, and then I remember,
or you have to lie and be like, "Oh, where is it? Oh, is it gone?" We'll get it. We'll get you a new one.
I mean, like he was like violently cheap. Like it wasn't good, So
what? But he was successful though, right?
He was a government lawyer, and then he worked for the Department of Justice, and they prosecute a lot of like Klan cases. We stay at like shitty hotels and reinforce Brown versus Board of Education before we were born in the 70s, and then he was doing that kind of stuff, Klan cases and murders. He was a federal prosecutor, but it was like government money, and my mom's a social worker.
What kind of Klan cases?
He would prosecute cross burnings and shit like that was still happening in the 80s. Yeah. He would go down, him, and, he had like a black partner, and they would go, and a lot of places were still really they weren't really integrated. And so he would go and make sure they were doing the right things in the school and stuff like that. Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm like teaching you something I have no information.
That's that's fascinating to me because I imagine, look, he's doing one of those lawyer jobs that's like a lawyer truly for the people. That's definitely not for the cash. That's like for the vibe. That's like, I think I want to do right. I actually want to do right.
Yeah, I think they're both like that. They're both very like.
And she's social worker.
So my mom, when she married my dad, so they knew each other 2 months. They got married. I think she majored in, Black Studies with a minor in African history.
That was your mom's?
My mom, yeah.
At UCSB?
Yes. And no, African history with a minor in Black Studies. And as she says it, she goes, I was first going to major in Black Studies, but this marvelous man, Jabari, took me aside and he said, "That's not your place, Karen." And so I switched my major. I'm like, but there was one conversation. My mom's like that where it's like, it's almost racist. I'm like, there was just one guy's perspective.
Yeah. Well,
anyone that's like beige or darker, she just holds up. She's like, and then I changed my entire life. And like, that guy could have been like separately just a random dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't like tell somebody what they could major in, but my mom's like, well, tread lightly, Rachel, So everybody's like apologize for if they're, like she's bleeding heart, like just.
She's the epitome of the bleeding heart.
Epitome. Yeah.
And is your dad on the same line?
My dad is like more,
or he just likes justice.
Yeah, he's like into justice. Exactly. Yeah. He's like, he's like kind of like you were describing about how you would like argue why something's bullshit. That's a little more like my dad's angle. He's not as like precious and careful with like language and stuff. Like he says things that you can never say. And I can't believe that he's like able to be a professor. Andrew, the stuff that he says in classes, I'm like, he's only getting away with it because he's in like community college. He teaches now, like civil rights. I got a message on Instagram and this girl was like, oh, I took your dad's class. It was less of a class and more of just like an experiment in what you could possibly get away with saying in front of a class. I was like, what did he say? But like, my dad doesn't know. Like, his heart comes from the right place. Yeah. But like, he's just a jackass and he likes joking around. So apparently, like, there was, I said to her, I wrote back and forth with this girl and I was like, can we have a Zoom, me and my brother? Because we want to know. Like, I told my brother, he's like, set up a call with this girl and let's hear what dad said to her. Like, I need to know each of it, each detail. So I was like, do you have any time on Thursday? So we get on this Zoom with her and she's like, well, apparently, she said in the beginning of the class, there was a lot of, like, there's one kid that was real anxious about, you know, whether he was going to get enrolled for the next semester. And it was annoying my dad, you know? And he kept asking about it. He's like, well, Mr. Feinstein, what if we get our papers in and then we don't get it in on time and then when I can't come back to school? And he's like, well, Miles, then you just kill yourself. Then you kill yourself.
Oh, Dad.
Yes, Dad, you can't say that.
Yeah, no.
In here, we pour whiskey.
Hey, do you have unwanted subscriptions? Stuff that you're like, why am I paying for that? How long have I been paying for that? I had that, and boy, oh boy, was it stupid. A huge waste of money. That's why I want to tell you about Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. It's a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. All in one place. It's incredible. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, myself included. I'm sure it's you too. Like that streaming service you bought to watch just one stupid show on. All right? It was one show on Disney Plus. I never wanted to watch anything else again. Just Mulan. Or that free trial that you never even used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you. You can stop paying for the ones that you don't want. It's incredible. The average person saves about $720 a year. Your boy saved, I think it was $300 in subscriptions that I was pawning off money to for no reason. I got tricked. I got duped. I got bamboozled, and I did not like it. If you are somebody who has subscriptions, I promise you there are ones that you are not using, you don't know about, and you're probably paying for. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person $720, like I said. You got to try it. You have to use it. If you're someone that's a subscription-based person, which we all are now, try it out and see if it can help you clear up your subscription services and lower your bills and monthly payments for life. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses in the easiest way by going to rocketmoney.com/whiskey. That's rocketmoney.com/whiskey, rocketmoney.com/whiskey. Everybody wants a better sex life. Everybody wants to have better sex, longer sex, more fun sex, more intimate sex, more passionate sex. And I got to tell you, 50% of men have symptoms that get in the way of wanting to enjoy sex the way that they want to. All right? Everybody got a problem. Everybody got something, especially as we get older. You're not alone. Roman is here to help, dude. Roman is the digital health clinic for men, addressing a variety of sexual health needs and offering genuine medication that helps achieve and maintain a strong erection. Strong like bull, get that blood flowing. Roman offers discreet wipes that help you last 4 times longer in bed. Look, if you're quick with the trigger, you're quick on the pull, it comes out fast. Roman's got you covered with these wipes. It's incredible. In men with low T, getting testosterone levels back to normal can help you increase your libido. Get back to that. Get back to that hip movement like the old days when you was a kid. Roman offers a testosterone test, which includes lab processing, and if it's appropriate for you, treatment for low testosterone is available. At Roman, there are no waiting rooms, no hassle. It's not uncomfortable. It's a straightforward digital experience from the comfort of your home. No one's got to know what you're up to, and your neighbor doesn't need to know that you're getting Roman because it comes in a discreet package to your front door with free 2-day shipping. If medication or testing is appropriate, Roman will send it directly to your door. It's so simple to do. To learn more about how you can achieve your personal sexual health goals, last longer, feel better, get healthier, go to ro.co/whiskey. That's ro.co/whiskey. Do it today to get 20% off your entire first order. That's ro.co/whiskey.
Ginger, I like gingers.
Yeah, and then everybody was just in shock. But that was my dad. Like, he didn't know where you could say certain things.
He was too smart. That I think a problem sometimes with intelligence and humor is that they assume everyone's smart enough to get their facetiousness or their like exaggerations.
Yes.
And so smart people oftentimes they'll say jokes where you're like, no one's thinking that's you. That's your line of thought. No one else's. And I've seen this before with friends that are like
comics and stuff?
No, because no comics are that smart.
Yeah, you're right. Good
I think
point.
if they were, they'd get a real job.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, friends that are very intellectual, sometimes what they think is funny, they assume everybody will also understand. Mm-hmm. Where comics, we're enough common person where our goal is, I'm going to write something that's broad enough where almost everybody could understand it, but it's a perspective that almost none of you took. That's kind of how I feel comedy is. Mm-hmm. But when friends of mine that are successful and actually like high intellects, sometimes their jokes fall very flat or they don't get it. They're like, I don't mean it like that. And you're like, I know, but the way your brain puts it together, nobody else thinks like that.
Yeah.
Because you're in a different plane where I
Yes.
think we're still low enough to the earth, particularly you and me, if we're truly, because I went to Arizona State. I am not a bright person.
Oh, me neither. You know when they pass
I'm
around
low.
like a clip, it'll be like some bimbo that couldn't answer a question. I'm like, I would not know the answer to that.
Yeah, no. Jeopardy?
There's like, alarming.
I've been watching Jeopardy for 40 years. I've never gotten one answer right.
Me neither. That's my worst fear. It's like a game of impromptu trivia, like where
it's a
everybody will
nightmare.
find out. I think I get credit for being smart because I'm sarcastic and Jewish, but I have like very little information.
Yeah, we're good at, I think comics, because we're fun and funny and comedy is witty and it does take brains. We're good at posturing like very smart people, which is why I think a lot of comics hold themselves on high and pretend to be more noble than they are. But at the end of the day,
there's a lot of guys like that. I know what you mean.
I don't like that. I don't
like it either.
Like I'm telling you something.
You're like,
It's
don't teach me, beat it.
Yeah, beat it, nerd.
Burn the road
Beat
out.
it, nerd. Yeah. But I think that your dad, I get that like, I've seen that where I think he's just so smart that he thinks, of course everybody will get that I'm kidding. I don't want that kid to kill himself. It's like,
yes.
Yeah, but you can't. That's not how
Dad,
it works.
you can't say
just not
that.
how
You
it
can't
works.
say, Miles, well, then you just kill yourself.
But also, I agree with your dad, Miles. Just go fucking kill yourself already, you idiot.
It's amazing that he said that on a college campus. Well, Miles, then you kill yourself. But he doesn't know. But I also think there's a social something's missing. My dad's like probably on the spectrum. Yeah. Like he writes, he has a really good friend that was in the Vomitones. And they...
Do they make shirts, the Vomitones?
I don't know.
You got to
if
get
they
me a
still do.
Vomitone shirt, please. I'm honest.
Speaking of which, let me give you a shirt. I did bring you this shirt.
That's my home team. I already saw it.
Really?
And you're the fucking greatest of all time. Yes.
Oh, good.
Chicago Bulls, baby. This is so fucking cool.
Oh,
this
I'm
is
so
so
glad you
sweet of
like
you to
it.
do this. I do love the Bulls so very much. They're fucking... Chicago sports teams in general are heartbreaking me so bad right now, but I will wear this with a lot of pride.
I'm so glad.
Thank you. That's so
I'm so
fucking
glad.
that's so thoughtful. And also get me a Vomitone shirt, please.
I will do that for you.
Because if your dad has one, I know it's grass is always greener, but my parents never had any of those kind of stories. Like for me, it's like my dad worked his whole life, he fucking retired, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like, for lack of a better pun, like jazz. Your dad had a lot of jazz in his life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like we never had that. Like it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Did you guys did they fight at your house?
No, definitely.
Because that's not healthy either. That was
Didn't have
our
that.
house. It was like simmering but nobody really said anything. Like,
No, we
there
didn't have
wasn't much-
not a lot of fighting. I mean, a couple of like there was a couple moments of blow-ups where I've seen my parents not speak to each other for like 2 days and like they need to just operate, they function in the home, but they do not speak because one of them hurt the other one's feelings.
Yeah.
And that
Do you think that's good or bad?
I'm sure there's a more mature way to, I'm sure a therapist would say there's a better way to deal with it, but it always kind of worked out for the best. And like when me and my dad butt heads, when we fight, it's inevitable. It's the same pattern. We're both kind of passionate, strong-headed people, so we'll fight about something. We will not speak about the fight itself, and then a day or two later, it'll manifest in one of us emotionally apologizing for the behavior.
That's cool.
It takes a minute. Yeah,
Kind of sweet.
yeah, but almost always there is like the reckoning happens. It just, I'm that way in real life. I need to walk away from stuff. I don't, if I get into a fight, like with my wife, if we get into an argument, I know I need to just stop and walk away.
Yeah.
Because I don't let things like. Do you guys when you fight? Did he just hit you with a fucking fire hose or an axe he's got laying
Smacked me
around?
right across the face. You shut the fuck up. Do you know what you are? You're a dumb bitch.
By the way, I
You're
saw
my
a video you
property.
posted of you guys.
Yeah.
I think it was him giving. It was trivia,
He's giving
right?
me like fire trivia.
Fire
That's what he does
trivia.
all day. Anyway.
Oh, I love that so much, man.
He reads, when he's not at the firehouse, he just reads books about other fires and tries to quiz me on it.
What a hot guy.
Yeah, he'll be like, how about this one? Triangle fire? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. He wanted to take me to watch a fire. Like, he was like, there's a fire down the street. Gorgeous fucking 1075.
You gotta
He's like,
come.
we gotta go.
The whole
I'm
place
like,
is lit
you
up.
go watch a fire? Like, it's like, we're gonna pull a lawn chair up to a fire like it's Shakespeare in the Park, you wild dick. No, they love the fires. That's
Yeah,
all
they
he
do.
wants to talk about and think about. Yeah.
But I mean, that's how fun though that he actually like enjoys his gig.
They love being firemen. They're like the happiest workers.
Well, because
Yeah.
you as a comic love your profession. How awesome you get to do the thing you like.
Yeah.
It's hard when when people in a relationship, when one of them is very successful
really hard.
and is doing well,
Yeah.
and then the other person hates their fucking gig.
That was my ex. He hated my job. Yeah.
Hated it.
Hated it. Like, he told me finally. He's just like, he took me out to dinner and he goes, Sam Morril still says this to me because he thinks it's so funny. He goes, you're not going to do stand-up for the rest of your life, right? Like, and he kind of like, gave me like a face rake and he thought we were going to like have
God.
some chicken and that would be the end of it. Yeah. And he wanted me, and he goes, he just wanted me to be home cooking more. And like, I cook, but I can't cook every night. Like, I cook sometimes, like,
Sure.
and I feel like I'm very like, I'm very affectionate and I like, like to do a lot of things for whoever I'm with, but like, I can't be home cooking every night. His family was weeping about this. They'd be like, Pavlik comes home. There is nothing on the table. Nothing. Like, they were frantic, weeping. Like, look what she's doing to him. Like, he was just
Yeah.
going to bang a potato on his head. Like, he literally would just come home and wouldn't be able to feed himself. Like, I
What
was
would he do?
fucking him over
Yeah.
because I wasn't home. So he was like really just, yeah. And with, I will say, he's almost like an accidental feminist, my husband, because he didn't care if I changed my name. He has probably the least jealous person to a point that it's a little...
It's concerning.
It's concerning.
Get a little
I'd have to
jealous.
be missing for weeks before he would look for me,
Babe, where you been? I've been
solid
gone for
2
3
weeks.
months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fucking, I've been on the road for doing shows. All right. Are you coming back? I think that,
Yeah.
but I mean, maybe he's just,
It works
he's
with
so
our
fucking
lifestyle
secure.
to some degree, but yeah, it is a little bit like one of the other firemen at his firehouse, like one time called me. We were all out drinking early on when we were dating, and he was like, listen, he had this captain ceremony. He was going to be promoted to be a cap, they
deal.
call it. Yeah. They call it getting made in New York. Yeah. So we were dating for like a month and a half. So I hadn't met his family yet. Maybe it was like a month. So I was going to go to this captain's ceremony. And he was like, you could sit with like Steve and Dave and these guys, and they're going to like, take care of you with the ceremony. And then we're going out after,
Right.
So I wasn't like sitting down with him at the front. And so he gives me their numbers. It's almost like a porn. Like, it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just sick that I was just like, it's kind of hot. Like, there's these guys that are supposed to take care of me for the evening.
yeah, they're going to take care of you.
Yeah. Because like no one's ever been like protective of me like that. Like nobody's ever like tucked me in a car and like referred to me as precious cargo. Most guys are like, you good? Like, so I was like, oh, I'll be
Walk
nice.
it off.
Yeah. That's
See
my
you
husband.
tomorrow.
Like he
Yeah.
would never, he doesn't know very basic things you're supposed to do like that.
Sure.
So he has these firemen that are supposed to like watch over the Kip's, girl or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
I was into all of that. I was like, that works for me. So then we all went out to this bar after. So we all, whatever, get drunk. Things get very gay very fast with a lot of the firemen. I've noticed they kept chasing my husband around trying to kiss him ironically. They're like, come on, one fucking kiss.
It's hilarious. Open your mouth. This is funny.
Exactly. And
Stop
then-
being weird. We do this. This is our thing. Well, it's a bunch of guys that live in a house that for the most part, oftentimes are just together for hours and hours and hours on end.
Yeah.
Finding shit to do because you have to sit in that fucking firehouse.
You just sit there.
So
yeah.
some gay shit's gonna break
So
out.
you're gonna
once in
make
a while.
love sometimes. Some nights you're gonna make love.
Sometimes you're gonna fuck the cap. That just happens.
And then, well, actually, one of the other firemen was at this other firehouse, and he was complaining to my husband that he's like, it's a good firehouse, but they just play so much gay porn, and it gets in my head, and it fucks with my head a little bit. I was like, wait a second, they're blasting gay porn at the firehouse?
Oh, come on, yeah, you know what guys do.
He said they just blast it in the kitchen. He's like, I can't study. He's just like this lovely guy, like not at all like them, like married kind of early,
Yeah.
and he's just like, I just wanted to play less porn, and my husband was trying to like help him find a way to like bring it up to his boss, and he doesn't want to just have like hours and hours of
Right.
gay, shocking levels of probably like really intense porn playing while he's having breakfast or like waffles in the morning.
I think it's a good bit though. It's a very funny bit.
Funny,
it's
yeah.
a funny bit.
They're all fun.
There's so much it's so much guy masculine energy in those places that like, and they're again trapped inside of a place together. Mm-hmm. Of course they're going to do weirdo shit. You're going to get too close for comfort. It's the same thing happens oftentimes like the military, when you get so bunked up with someone and, friends that I know, like it gets homoerotic sometimes because it's like you're with certain people so much all the time.
I do find it
something.
I find it a little strange that they kept chasing him around trying to kiss him, but I do strangely like it when the guys are like on the sidelines of like a sports game and they smack each other's asses. For some reason, I do find that sort of pleasing.
You like that?
I like that.
But you don't. But sports to you has zero interest in your life.
I loved when I was growing up watching Inside the NBA. I just thought there was nothing funnier than watching just like Shaq and those guys just trash each other.
I mean, that is
so.
The best.
I love all the theater around sports.
Sure.
Of the shit talking fascinated me.
Right.
That show is fucking hilarious.
It's amazing. Shaq is so fucking funny.
So funny.
Shaq and Barkley together is like the greatest common. It's like a great 1-2 punch.
I know.
Yeah.
And
See
then
you're right.
yeah.
It is theater. That is definitely the theater of
Yeah.
sports. Is all the bullshit surrounding it. But the game itself, you're like, I don't fucking.
Well, I have to have it re-explained to me. I'm a little ADD. I like going to see basketball. I go to watch basketball with like Sam sometimes. I like to go watch the Knicks with Sam because he's so into it and he explains it to me. Some guys don't have the time. They don't want to explain something.
But Sam cares.
Sam cares.
Sam definitely fucking
because he's still an
cares.
analytical Jew. So
Yes.
Sam's texts to me are hilarious because he'll send me like some long thing like, I think I have a lot of anger, at my parents still. And then it'll be like 90s Knicks classic moment. He'll be like, great Phil Jackson at his best right here. I'm like, he obviously doesn't know that like I don't understand a lot of it, but it'll just be like some deep kind of like emotional thing he's struggling with therapy. And be like, gotta love this right here, triangle defense. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But basketball's fun to me. And I love being at a basketball game and I like learning about it, but I don't know very much about it. So when I did that show with Shaq, co-hosting this thing with Shaq, and my brothers gave me, Jewish men love the NBA because like everything they're not. These like nebbishy Jewish guys are obsessed with NBA.
Yeah.
So they had this
That's why
long...
the commissioners are always Jewish, by the way.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. They're big basketball fans.
Big basketball
So they
fans.
gave me a long, detailed question to ask Shaq. Like that was like shockingly insightful, I'm sure.
Right.
And my brothers made me memorize it. Like I keep saying it to get it again.
What is it?
I don't know it at all. I couldn't remember it.
Fuck.
It was like this long question. And I thought like when I said it, he'd be like shocked, but he didn't really miss a beat. He's like, yeah, good question. Like he just right away answered it.
Assume that you came up with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. And he would let me text Barkley like weird texts. Like I would text Barkley like, I feel like we don't do enough together. Like, like.
From his phone?
Yeah, it's from Shaq's phone.
Oh, that's so fucking
I'd be like,
cool.
I want to go to Pottery Bar with you. I feel like you don't put enough into this relationship. And Barkley wrote back, I'd rather get a pedicure with Dwight Howard.
That is so
Isn't that
fucking
amazing?
funny. Oh my God.
And then we would go out. Shaq was so satisfying because he's exactly what you want him to be. He was everything that he was on the show. And growing up, I was a big Shaq fan, but from that show.
Yeah.
Because that show, they were fucking like comics,
Yeah.
Like Barkley would wear those white tube socks and Shaq would be like, why are you wearing tube socks?
Just tell me where you got
You
those
dumb
from. Stupid ass.
You
You
do a
with
really
your
good
big
job.
dumb head.
Yeah. I just loved
Wait,
him
do that again.
mocking him.
Good.
Mocking him was so good. By the way, how fascinating that you got to like become buddies with Shaq. Of all the NBA
So
players,
fun.
he might be the most personable of all time. Who's like, there's a documentary out right now. I think it was on, is it HBO? I don't know. He has a documentary out about his life. But like, I already love the guy. And then I
Yeah.
watched that and you're like, well, fuck me. I like him so much more now.
Yeah.
Just because he always kind of did, he always did the right thing, so to speak. That phrase is kind of corny, but like,
No, but it's true.
But he
He's
really
like a
did.
really ethical, lovely person.
yeah, like he got he wanted a shoe deal.
Yeah.
I got a shoe deal. I mean, and then I guess some guy in the street I'm going to fuck up the story, but someone had said, who the fuck do you think you are getting off charging XYZ for your shoes? I can't buy my kid those fucking shoes. And Shaq was like, I respected the guy checking me like that so much that he was like, well, how much are they? Then when he found out what the shoe was selling for, he's like, oh, I can't. My shoes should be available for like every kid to be able to buy.
Yeah.
So then he did his own shoe. So it was cheap enough. They manufactured it cheap enough so that, kids, in his words, like kids in the hood could buy them instead of just rich kids.
I didn't know that. That's really lovely.
It's a very Shaq. That to me, that sums up who Shaq is. He's one of those guys where you're like, oh, he really did want to always do the right thing instead of just like, fuck those kids, give me the money.
Yeah,
You know?
I felt like that he was like, it was very satisfying to see that in person he was just like, and he would talk to anybody. Anybody could stop
Yeah.
him on the street and he just stop and be like, what do you want? What should we do? Like,
So
Yeah.
fucking dauntingly big too to have. He's a gentle giant. I'm sure he would fucking murder anybody that crossed him.
yeah, there was this guy that when the showrunner would piss him off or when he would ask him to do something Shaq didn't want to do, he'd be like, I'm going to put you in a baby hole, Greg. He'd be like, I'm going to put you in a baby hole. That was his threat to him. He's like,
check
I'm
me
going to
down,
hold you
Greg.
like
I'll
an
put you in a
infant.
baby
And then he
hole.
would pick him up and sort of gently rock him.
And
This grown man that
go
was
to
like,
sleep.
yes, and he was like all of a sudden he was like this authority on the set, but then it's any man's body next to Shaq is just pointless. It renders any
You look
other
like a
man's
child.
body. Yeah, you look like a fool.
I interviewed him one time out here for Comedy Central. It was one of those roasts. It was a roast, but it was like I was doing like the red carpet. And, you know, they sent me out there looking like a fucking moron, and I was like asking very famous people. It was funny to be on a roast carpet, hosting.
Yeah.
And then comics that I would known personally who are like, you know, more famous, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is such an ego check down that they're like, "What are you
Really?
doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm fucking hosting on the red carpet thing." And they're like, "Oh, cool." Yeah, it's almost because it's
Can you
like
explain that?
Well, it's like imagine doing a show with another comic, then going to a restaurant the next day and they're serving. That's kind of what it felt like to me.
Yes, yeah.
Like I had to serve.
Yeah.
Where they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, how's the burger here?" It's like, "It's great. I'll be right back. Take your order."
Right,
It
right,
felt
right.
like there are those moments in your comedy career that check your ego. I mean, I didn't care, but
No, all the time. Like with Amy, whenever I'm anywhere with
does.
Schumer, they'll just like pile their coats on me and just be like, "How's her Thursday?" Like,
you're a Coco, right?
yeah.
But I mean that it's funny. It just isn't. It's a weird, and there's no good way out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just kind of like take the hit, so to speak. I you know.
What's
I don't know.
interesting to me is like a few people have mentioned to me that you like have said like, "Oh, I'm like you'll pass on certain things,"
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, "That's so cool." That
Sometimes, yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, you just decide that's not something that's for me." See, I make those declarations, but then somebody asks me, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to do it." You know, like
Right.
I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I think that is an important thing I have to learn how to do.
I'm trying to get better.
That's cool, you know?
Well, you have to find balance, I guess, a little bit. Like we're all going to be spread so thin. Like I'm interested. Like you've got having a kid and being a touring comedian, because it's not like you having a kid is going to stop your career. But the balance now changes. It's just a different shift of the scales. So now, like when you go on the road, you have to come back more, I'm sure, or be more conscious of the time.
We bring her a lot. I mean,
You do. She goes with you.
a lot of the times, but
That's
she just
so
turned
fucking
2,
cool.
so she can't come as much. But my husband works half of the week at the fire department, so half the week I'm like a single mom. When he's overnight at the Firehouse, it's just
Right.
me and Frankie. And then when I
What
go away,
a name, by the way, Frankie.
you like the name Frankie?
So fucking great.
She's
So
pretty
because
cute.
they do like the shifts are days on end.
24 hours
24
sometimes. So a lot
right.
of times I'm on my own, but they both used to come and we would go as a family, you know?
Right.
And so he'd be like, "Where are we going?" You know, and he would just go wherever.
That's cool.
Interesting. No interest in the actual show. But he's like, "What's the green room like?" He always asks me about
Yeah.
the green room.
Fuck
he
the
said he was
show.
going to do a fireman's review of green rooms. I'm like, there's a real supply and demand issue. Who's asking for that book? And he also he doesn't know quite what comics say to each other in the green room. So like he'll be in the green room with me and like somebody's featuring and he goes, "I just heard my husband go, so how much time do you have?" And I'm like, no, you can't have. He doesn't
And the
know.
feature's like, looking at you out of the corner of their eye, like, as much time as they need. I'll be just of service.
I'm like, you can't say that. He's like, "What? It's a good question, right? Like how much time they have?"
I
I'm
want to
like,
know. But so now, do you got like, are you going to tour again next year? Like at the beginning of next year? Are you going to take?
I mean,
some time
my
down?
goal really is like, it does affect your life. I don't really know what's going to happen next, honestly. Like, when I was pregnant, I had this pilot with Bill Lawrence, who's now doing
We
like
know.
Ted Lasso and stuff,
Yeah.
and that was like around my life and stuff. And we were writing it for Fox, and it was kind of about like my life being, and a lot of my act now, just being
Right.
like, you know, in the Firehouse, this Jew comic in this Firehouse wife world, which is very insulated in New York. It's like all the women are named Gina. There's like a whole fucking thing. And now there's going to be a chief. Like I'm always in Staten Island at like a FDNY dinner dance or whatever. So it's kind of about that and my family and everything. But then I said I was pregnant, and then everybody was just kind of like, then they can't shoot around that. So then they were like, well, Bill's super cool. He was like, "Oh, we'll just, I know her really well. She wants the script. It's in great shape. We'll just order it after you have the baby." Like they kind of gave her like a handshake.
Right.
But it was hard because I was like, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, "Oh, I can't. I don't want to. Do I tell them? Do I not?" You know what I mean? But
what a weird fear that women have to have, though, because they're like, oh, it's going to shape the way I do they think I do my job, or.
Yeah, I was like just dressing like a district attorney and wearing like a lot of like PR. I didn't tell anybody till like way too. Like it was like people were like, we know. Yeah.
People are like, you're pregnant, right? And you're like, what? I am?
But it was hard. It was hard because then COVID happened. And so then they didn't order. And if I hadn't told them, which I often run through in my mind, but I try not to do that because I guess, you're where you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But be or whatever. But I'm like, oh, if I didn't tell them, then they would have gotten the order and we could have just shot it after. But I wanted to tell them. But it's a very tricky thing,
Right.
like I feel like right now I would love to start playing theaters, sell another show around that or get to make something else with my friends, and just go out a little bit less. But I don't know how to like navigate it, and I'm trying to figure it out. It's not easy. I feel like, but I don't want to stop, and I don't think or slow down really. I'm hoping I can get to a point of success where I can bring a nanny and
Sure.
and find the right combination of things. But it's tricky, And also I never did move out here because they can't. FDNY can't move to LA. It's strangely enough, even if you're going to be a chief, it's like very high up in the fire department, but they can't transfer. He could become a private firefighter if I got a show out here.
What is I don't even know what that is.
That's like Kendall Kardashian's firefighter. Like they could just buy a firefighter.
Oh yeah, you work for right.
Just like work for for like Kendall.
This is our firefighter. It's so funny.
It's ludicrous.
It's our maid, our nanny, our firefighter, of course.
So wrong. The rest of the people just burn.
Yeah. Everybody else will die in our neighborhood, but he fights for us. And
I found that out. I was like, you could be Kendall's firefighter.
I didn't know that was a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Holy fuck.
It's fucked
that's
up.
So strange.
But I mean, I'm not going to move to LA. I mean, we're going to keep living in New York, but I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. Like I worry about it a lot, all the time. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of guilt, like you always want to obsess about every little thing. I mean, she's very happy and funny. And, my therapist tells me it's more about the quality and not like, if you have to go away for 2 days, she's not going to remember that,
Yeah.
But it's just, I bring them all. I hope I can get where I could bring them all more, and figure it all out. But it's like really tricky,
That's for sure a delicate balance. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have the problem yet. Not the problem, but I don't have that thing to deal with. But I think about that when like friends are, so many friends are all married now, and some of them are having kids that are in the comedy world, and it's the balance of, how do you do that? Do you bring them family on the road, or do you just do less dates and do it more specifically and get fat, or just be like Seinfeld, dude. Just take a jet home every night. Just take a private jet.
That's why I do want to get to the point where it's like if I'm at the next kind of, I don't, like not like crazy, fame, but just the next level of being able to do some show with my friends. That's really fun, where I can bring a nanny and have a little more help. Like this week, I was going to bring Frankie and Pete, but then Pete got hurt in a fire, and then we had to have. He's on medical leave. He's fine, but he just like hurt his shoulder.
Oh shit!
So he's on medical leave. He has to go to PT. So otherwise, I could, if I had a full-time nanny, I could bring her and Frankie. But we decided and she's fine, but I like FaceTime obsessively and feel so guilty when I'm away for a couple days. Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I have to let go of it. Yeah.
Because, I mean, do you have a good memory? Like, I don't remember shit from my childhood except for the moments that were fun. I don't remember, like...
Yeah.
I don't, there was no moment of like, oh, my mom was at work that time. It's like, I don't fucking remember.
My mom was like a workaholic too. Also, like a lot of other people I know travel even more. Like my brother's wife, she goes all over the world. She works for EPA. There's something disgusting about going away to be a comedian, just like to go just say a few I'm going to go say foul, unspeakable things on stage.
Yeah.
And my daughter's far away from me right now. So that feels just like inherently wrong somehow.
Mommy's got to go earn money talking about dicks in Iowa. I'll be back
it's disgusting.
in 2 days. Yeah, it is weird.
It's disgusting.
It's just a weird it's a weird gig.
I feel jealous of those normal couples all the time. Like even when I went through that breakup and I was like on the road and stuff, I remember this couple, like they were like on their date night, and I was like, I feel like I bring those couples closer together. Like they watch me for like a raunchy evening, and they're like, she's great for like, one disgusting night, but I don't really...
You feel like a prostitute?
Yes, I feel like it, but I don't appreciate
We're verbal prostitutes.
Yeah.
We are selling our mouth and our brains for other people.
Yeah, we get up there. It's gangrenous.
But you know what it really is?
And then he rubs his wife's knee a little. He's like, I don't appreciate Diane enough. Like, I've got a good lady.
Yeah, I don't have this scumbag
this
bitch.
Vile pig who was fun for a night.
No, you know what? Here's the other way. I'll flip the coin on you.
I need that.
You do... I said this to someone the other day. 360 million people or whatever in the States, right? Think about you're part of a collective what might there be? 500 professional working comedians in the United States, and I think that's a padded number. It's probably less than that. But think about that statistically on a scale. Not to like suck our own dicks on the podcast, but we're gonna. But I just feel like it's a super rare thing that we get to do, and we get jealous of the typical. And I do too. I see my neighbors all the time. Oh yeah, I think about that.
Yeah,
that like they just have it so much more normal than us or whatever. But how fortunate that we get to do this thing professionally that does make people feel really fucking good, and that you're very good at, and that almost nobody can do. Literally, almost nobody can do this. And I'm not saying almost nobody can make people laugh. I'm saying almost nobody can construct a career out of this.
Yeah.
Because there's another level that you had to go to beyond being funny and very good at being a comedian. What people in the real world, I think, especially fans of comedy, know, you have something else that literally almost nobody has, that you're able to construct a professional career of this thing, which takes so much more than just being funny.
Yeah.
It's much, much, much more than that. So kudos to you.
Thank you. And I do love it though. You know,
Yeah,
like, I mean,
of course.
Like,
And
there's
it's
nothing else I
fucking
want to
amazing.
do. Yeah. I mean, it's funny when I went, it's kind of corny, but when I, more soft piano music, Joe.
Joe,
You don't
soft
mind?
piano music right now.
Something like really, pull at the heartstrings.
Play it again, Joe.
But like, I do feel like when I went through that shit with that guy, I really liked that guy, but I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to live in Wayne, New Jersey and just, be
And do
birthing all
nothing.
day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would absolutely just be hanging somewhere. I'd
Right.
be done hanged by now. I was like, I can't do that. But like, I was thinking after that, there was a little period where I was just like, oh, I want to do that. I only want those things. I would feel more relaxed, Probably why I'm attracted to like, just very working class type people. But like, at the same time, I don't know, there was like this dumb like quote that my brother gave me. It said, it's an Ernest Hemingway quote. It's not dumb. It's very lovely. But he was like, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Right.
So that's what we're supposed to do. And then I do feel like when I get frustrated about how to navigate the ins and outs of it with Frankie and everything, I'm like, well, I should, because I don't want her to feel like she would have to, like that she would have to table a part of herself one day.
Sure.
And I think like I do get to hang out with like my favorite people in the world who just like make me laugh so much, and it's like we have a lot of fun. It's delightful.
Yeah, and when you're hanging out with your favorite people,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be at the cost of listening to gay porn blaring in the kitchen.
Yeah, there's no violent, jarring
There's
porn.
no
It's
jarring
gonna
pornography being
traumatize.
blasted in the back of your ear, and you're not going to throw your shoulder out when a fire hits.
Speaking of which, that's what I was going to tell you before. So that night, so he's like, okay, take care of my wife or whatever. So then we go out to this bar afterwards. And so like late that night, I go back to my apartment. We weren't like living together yet. And there's like 9 missed calls from this guy at like 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I was like, oh, this will be interesting. So
Yeah.
he leaves me this long voicemail. He's like, I love you. Like, fuck Pete. He's got a baby penis. There's this thing in fire department called Going Blue, Going Rescue. It's like a special ops thing where you like
Going blue.
It's called Going Blue. Like you
we're
could get
blue.
made, be a cap, or you could go blue, which they would both argue with each other. One is like more manly than the other to save people in the sea. The other fireman like, yeah, fuck the sea guys or
fuck
whatever.
the
That
sea."
stinks. Yeah, put on a dumb outfit. Yeah, you stink. So he's like, I'm going blue. Like, fuck Pete. He's got a baby penis. He's like, I fucking love you. We're going to have a little Jew baby. Like the funniest, most hilarious, insane message.
You kept it.
I don't know if I still have it, but it really made me laugh. And I played it for my husband because I knew that he wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So I played it for him. I mean, it was pretty out there. Like he was like, I love you, fuck Pete. I want to be your husband. We're fucking get married. Fuck him. He's a little bitch. He's a baby penis. And was making himself laugh. Like, and kept calling back, just saying more and more ludicrous horse shit. And so I play it for my husband. He was just like, yeah, Mike,
Like it's, yeah.
Yeah. I asked him later. I was like,
That's
did you
Mike.
say anything to Mike? Like when you saw him the next time, did you say
Why?
anything?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's a drunk. He's
It's
like,
Mike being Mike.
yeah, he's like, yeah, Marines, they always come back a little crazy. Here we go. He's like, yeah, he's a Marine. That was his reasoning. He was just like, yeah, he's a Marine.
That is true, though.
Never said anything to him. And actually, one day, I cannot relate to any characteristic less than this. One day we were out like hanging out at this bar, and I was like, can I take your phone and text other people on the fireman chain like dumb shit? Always lets me do it. Just hands it to me.
Yeah, sure.
I was just like telling the guys, I was like, there's one fireman in particular. He's their boss. I was like, dude, I would love to like spend some more private time with you. And I miss you sometimes, not like in a weird way, but I want to like get closer and I long for you. And he's like, just the most inappropriate, insane. I was going on and on about how like, I need you to need me, like things he would never say.
I need you to need me.
Unacceptable, crazy horse shit.
Yeah.
And then days later, I was like, oh, wait, did you ever tell the guys about that? He's like, yeah. So these guys think he's in love with them. He's their boss.
Yeah.
And he just like, yeah, I'll leave it. I'm like, no, but it's not good.
No, but
you got to say something.
There's no HR in the fire department.
But isn't it fascinating that you wouldn't want to correct that? Like, I wrote insane shit.
Yeah.
I was like, can't stop crying at a certain point. It was like 5 in the morning. I just texted like 7 firemen. He's their boss. I can't stop weeping. Because I figured the next day he'd be like, oh, my wife took my phone, and that'd be the end of it.
No.
Yeah.
That's how confident he is that he doesn't give a shit. Whatever they think, he's like.
They think he was, I was rolled. I said, I'm rolled up in a ball weeping now. I feel so frightened. Am I a frightened little bitch? They're like, dude, you okay, buddy? You know?
Well, but I'm sure their responses were like, we love you. We're here always to support you, blah, blah, blah.
I can't.
That's
I was like,
when bro love is at a high level, he could have said, you could have said anything and they'd be like, support you regardless.
I guess you're right. That's
support
so
you regardless.
fascinating.
Yeah,
to
he'd
me.
be like, I ended up killing my wife. And they're like, support you regardless, Pete. Like, I think that at some point that bro love thing
surpasses the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they've got. Do you know what I mean?
That's what they've got.
That's what they've got. That's their thing.
On the other side of that, of course, since you were asking me about communication before, is that like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's supposed to say at any given moment. So it's not good.
No.
Worthless, like emotionally. Yeah. Like, I was doing a special and he like sends me, I'm like, what is this? I told him, when I do a special, I need very little. Like, we have fun lives. I'm like, if I do like Conan, you need to send me a text maybe?
Yeah. Good
Ask
luck.
me how's it going, buddy. Yeah. Nothing all day. About to shoot the special. I get a picture. I was like, what is this? I can't open it. He's like, gas bill. Gas bill. I thought it was going to be a picture of a rose or something, just like some sad, ignorant picture of like a swaying rose. But I was like, I'll take a swaying rose at this point. You know, it's like 4. I have to go on at 5. He's like, yeah, gas bill. I mean, he just doesn't know. Yeah.
But I mean, how beautiful a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. But, you know, source it out. But, yeah.
Because the other side is worse. You don't want the guy that's like, that's all in your shit all the time. As a comedian, you need the independence.
You need the independence. I get a tremendous amount of independence.
So I'm more of, I would be better partners with your husband then, because I want to be left alone completely. Like,
you
when
want
I'm
to
going to shoot a thing or whatever, please don't talk to me. Don't tell me. I don't want.
You don't want one nice text?
Nope. I don't. I just don't. Like, I don't. I actually fucking.
But that's probably because you're with somebody that gives it to you. So, like, when I was with a guy that was kind of jealous and a little much, I want him out of my fucking hair.
Right.
But then it's like when you're with somebody that's very remote,
sure,
you'd like them to just maybe check in every once in a while.
I get that. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I just mean in particular for tapings and stuff like that.
You just don't want anybody in your mind.
I just don't like that. Just leave me alone on my little island. Because I'm going to... Half of the reason that I think comedians love being comedians so much is we want all the glory and all of the shame. Like, we want to feel... When it works, we want to feel the elation.
Can you pour more of that?
Yes.
Thing?
This one. This is the one.
Okay. Is this a lot or is it a normal amount?
No, it's a normal amount.
Okay.
You're not driving. What do you give a shit?
I guess right.
We want, you know what we want? We want all the elation on the win, and we want we want to feel the whole loss. I think comics don't mind feeling all the loss.
Yeah.
Because you're like, fuck it. Fuck me up. I'm willing to risk taking all the blame for this not working because the working part feels so good. So when I get into a moment of a taping or a thing or something very important, you got to leave me alone and let me have all of it. I want to feel all of it, whether it's very good or very
I think that's very
bad.
healthy, actually.
Kind of. But then you sit with this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes the old, the noodle upstairs can just go awry. And then
Are you hard on yourself? Are you competitive?
Oh,
do you think?
so hard on myself.
You're competitive, would you say?
Yeah, like my special's going to come out beginning of next year, and I fucking hate it. I've watched it 1,000 times. I can't do it anymore. Like, I picked it apart inside and out to the point when you're like, why do you stand like that, you fucking idiot?
I have to say this. Every special I've ever watched, I'm so disgusted. Disgusted. I would pay like hard cash to bury each and every one of them. Isn't it gross when I see you see yourself like using the stage? I'm like, oh, no one needs this. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Really just gallivanting around and teaching people things. Yeah. Oh my God, I want to close myself like a box. I'm like, just stop it.
It was hard.
Stop it.
I had to go watch it with the editors because we had to do this, the sound and color pass, and I had to go watch them fix a couple of things because they had to paint out one of the shots had an exit sign that we knew was there, but we couldn't get a better angle. So we were like, we'll paint it out and we'll VFX it out. And we VFX'd a couple wires and cans on the side of the stage as well.
Where did you shoot?
Denver, the Paramount Theater in
Oh,
Denver.
that's cool. That's a great theater.
Yeah, my old lady's from Denver. We like Denver. So I just was like, I had to go watch it again. And I watched it with like 4 people in the room. And fuck, man, the anxiety. It's just, I hated it.
Yeah.
I just can't do it. Like at the store years ago, a tradition used to be if a comic we knew was getting like a guest role on a TV show or was premiering a special or something.
You would watch it all together.
The store would always go. Yeah, the store would hold it at the comedian's bar or at the front bar, and everyone would stand and watch it, particularly late night sets. That was a big thing because the TV outside on the patio, people would stand around. And I do miss those moments. It doesn't happen
If you
anymore.
saw it before and you thought you did a good job, then would you want to maybe?
No, fuck no.
I think that's good. You're not like an egomaniac. It's an appealing quality.
I just also think like, every set I've ever taping is so hard to get exactly what you want it to feel like, and then every time you do tape a joke, inevitably you'll watch it and be like, I know I feel like there's a better way for me to
say that. It never
Yes.
feels finished. That's such an interesting insight. I was just saying that to somebody, another comic recently. I was like, oh, I shouldn't use it there. He's like, it's never finished. They're never finished. They're never going to be finished. Because you just see it and you're like, fuck, all that work. And there was so many better takes of that. But I guess a special isn't the best take. And I try to remind myself that people don't know all those other versions and the little words that are missing.
Right.
Only
you feel all that
Yeah.
shit. Like I've talked about it on the show before. There's this artist named John Baldessari who was very famous for burning all, like at one point he burned his entire collection. He literally lit it all on fire because he wanted to start all over again because he was like, if I keep looking at some of the stuff that I've made, I want to keep fixing or changing it. And he was like, I just need a new start. So he burned all his fucking
made like a
shit.
roast of some sort? Like he lit a fire?
Just lit a fucking fire, but set it all on fire. Yeah.
That's
Like
so
a full-on
funny.
psychopath. But I mean, it's incredible because I think he was like, I don't want to keep staring at stuff. I want to either make it and get
Let
rid
it
of
go.
it and let it go.
Yeah.
And that was the most obvious form of letting it go. But when I heard about that, I was like, how powerful that the dude had, because it'd be so hard to tell anybody that makes art, performance, whatever, to just be like, okay, you're going to shoot a special. You're going to work super fucking hard on it. And then we'll let people see it for like 4 days, but then we're burning it forever and no one gets to see it again. You'd be like, well, I want people to see it again. I mean, you're limiting who can see it. But that's his perspective was like, well,
No, I would pay, I'm telling you, a lot of money to have none of it seen. It's disgusting to me. Disgusting. Also, I'm like, what am I wearing? I look like a fucking pig. A lot of the
that's
things...
the big issue. What do I look? Well, I look like an
Yes.
idiot.
Oh my God.
I always hate
just-
everything I've ever worn on television.
I mean, like, I'm like, who convinced me to wear that? And then I read the comments, which you're never fucking supposed to do. But there's
No.
this guy named Mr. Twat Waffles that hates me. And I'm like, he makes so many good points. One of the
Mr.
comments,
Twat Waffles?
Mr. Twat Waffles was arguing with this other guy, and the other guy was like sticking up for me with Twat Waffles. And he's like, do you think she has the time to read this crap? Meanwhile, it's like 1 point for Twat Waffles. 'Cause
Yeah.
here I am.
Twat Waffles
You
got
can't
ya.
do that, but I get like that, where I just like look through and I'm like, yeah, he's right. He's completely correct. I mean, it's just so hard to watch yourself. And a lot of people say I have a man voice, and I'm like, I do have a man voice. Like, it gives you
a
brand
man
new
voice?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't think you have a manly voice at all.
Thanks for saying that.
No, I really don't think so. I mean, I would say it. I'd make fun of you if you did. I mean, comfortably, I'd be like, yeah, you do. You fucking sound like a guy. Pull your cock out. You don't have a fucking man voice. The criticisms, by the way, when they're good.
When I'm making a point, like I really want to be heard, I get like real burly, and it's like really heinous.
What's going on? Hey,
I
what's
like
up?
to really take charge.
What's
and
up,
stuff.
Cleveland? No, see,
Ugh.
this is how you know you don't have a man voice. That you're when you try to do a man voice like that, what you just did, it doesn't sound like a man.
Thank you. I'm going to download that as a compliment. Hold on to it. It works for me.
I like these shoes, by the way. These couldn't be more New York. These are very New York.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's such like a.
But
New,
I want to
New
ask
York
you a few
shoe.
more questions
Yeah.
about your childhood real fast.
Okay, go ahead. I want to hear it.
If we have the time.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that. So your dad went away, and then what happened?
You're sick now. He got out. He got out. He escaped.
Yeah.
No, he went away he went away, and then we had moved to the suburbs. Mm-hmm. My mom remarried, and then my dad and I talked intermittently for years and years and years, and then still don't really have like a relationship. I've said this on this show so many times. You know the song "Cat in the Cradle"? You know that cat in the silver spoon, little woman. when you coming home, son? I don't know when. That's kind of the relationship I have with my dad, where it's like I grew up, and then now it's like I'm a man with my own life, and he, wants to connect a little bit because he's clean now. His life is good. He's sober. He's functioning, and now he kind of wants to connect, but I don't have.
There's not much left.
I don't have much.
Sam has a similar thing like that.
Yeah, I don't have
he's
the
just
time.
like kind of a rap dad. You weren't.
Well,
there
we're at some point. I've learned this too with my parents because I'm going through a lot of family stuff right now, private shit with my family. But like, what you learn is, at a certain age, you're like, oh, I'm just a grown up and they're just grown ups. Yeah, they're my parents, but like you're just independent adults who live, And then so when you realize that, I think sometimes, you definitely can take for granted the relationships and not pay attention to the things that you need to appreciate about them because they're not going to be there forever, which is a daunting truth about as you get older. You're like, oh my God, my parents are definitely not. This is a short. I read one of these terrible, awful things on the internet that's like, you'll appreciate it more when you realize if you're in this age bracket, you probably only have 12 Christmases left with your loved ones. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah. Like it was just a daunting fact to read. It was like, how many holidays are you going to have left with the people you love? So those kind of moments like check you down a little bit as you grow older. You get further and further away from those things. So, so for me, it's been hard because I'm growing and I'm trying to connect with my dad, my biological father, but we're adults. It's tough.
Yeah.
You're
it's
on
also
different
like,
paths.
you kind of get to a place where it's like, we're going to connect as much as we connect. It's also, I think, helpful maybe to realize that it's not there.
Sure.
It's not like this thing that's you can access, but you're not choosing to.
Right.
And then you can let go of the guilt and the like shame and the heaviness of that, and you could just be like, oh, this is what is there, a shared activity, perhaps every once in a while, but there's
just a phone call,
or a phone call or something
Right.
like that, and to not think that. I think as comics, we often think that we're responsible for so much emotionally, I feel like. Jimmy Carr said this recently. He was like, who did you take care of, And it's like comics. It's like we usually took care of somebody emotionally growing up and thought that we had so much more power that we had than we actually had. That we never ran the show, you know what I mean? And then also we often didn't feel like listened to at some point. So it's like our little final arguments. I think that's why like a lot of comedians used to be lawyers and stuff. It's like you get this final like last
now listen
act
to me.
Now you're hearing my side of it,
Right.
and so I think like it's nice and it's kind of relaxing to realize like, oh, I actually don't have control over what this could be. It's what's left is what's there.
Sure.
And it's what's left because of his choices and his decisions,
This is
that he made.
You are the fixer, by the way.
I know it's not good. I look for that little thing. But it's also nice at a person like you because you're not, I've come a long way. I used to just date like emergency alcoholics that I would just be like, but like it's good to know somebody, oh, you've been through some stuff. But I would key into like whatever that is and like, that is my personality.
And you focus on the pain.
And I try to like fix it, But I'm learning.
Every guy you ever dated, you did that with.
I mean, I primarily only dated like guttural alcoholics, just like wild, like code red. I dated this one guy at a certain point in the night. He was a foreman. He was really hot. He was always, at a certain point in the night, would get real drunk and just start glaring at someone at the bar.
Looking for a fight.
Looking for some sort of, it was more just like a paranoid sort of simmering hostility that was mounting. It didn't usually come a fight. One time we used to drink at this Port Authority bar, and he would just glare at this elderly woman. I'm like, what beef could you possibly have with Virginia? She's like a 70-year-old widow. For the love of God. He was like a jacked, like fucking foreman. And he'd be like, you're looking at her like this.
What are you looking at, Virginia?
And he was the kind of alcoholic that would have like organized sections in the bar. You really know when they have like, this is where their money goes and this is where like real type A,
that's
like
not good.
Alcohol, like 3 columns, and you couldn't mess with this. Like he definitely paid way more attention to his columns than me, always. This the column organization was first. Yeah. His ice, his columns, his scotch. So and then he would start glaring at somebody. And one night he started glaring at a bus. It was like we had to take this bus home.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
you can't have beef with a vehicle. You can't have beef with a vehicle. So we lived in New Jersey, and I moved in with him because at that time, a man to me that just had an apartment, they're better than me. Anybody that has like and organized. You know what I mean? Like I'd put them up in this pedestal.
Yeah.
He has a job in New York. He's like a foreman. He's attractive. Sure, he's a fucking emergency throbbing drunk.
Right.
But it's kind of hot when he like comes over to my apartment, screams apologies. Like, you know, it was like very, you know, like streetcar named Desire. He'd be like, Rachel. You know, it was fun. It was like exciting.
I love you, Rachel.
You're like, I'm sorry. You know, I'm like, yeah, all right, shit. And then
I'll be right down.
I'll be right down. Let me just adjust my cans. And then I would come downstairs. I think we'd go to this like that little place where we go take the bus back to his place. It was a little jitney bus. It was so exhausting. Imagine this fucking like 200-pound fucking drunk that I'm trying to wrangle and I just need him on that bus so we can go home and I could finally sleep, you know? But then one day he was just like, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know about the bus? You think that the bus is up to something?
Yeah.
He's like, you just never have my back. You never have my fucking back.
Oh my God.
You're not telling me it was weird the way the bus turned like that?
Jesus.
Yes, suspicious of a bus itself.
Is he dead?
Wasn't going to get on
This
it.
guy? He's gone.
Oh, yeah. No, this is like years ago. This is like one of my
No,
earlier
I mean,
chapters.
is he dead? Is he dead?
Oh, dead? Probably. I would think so.
I hope not,
Yes.
but wherever you are, sir, he's listening right now. You imagine he's a huge fan of my show.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Sees you on it, and then he's
It's kind of satisfying to know that whatever relationship, like when you're dating,
Yeah.
that my friends are always going to be so much more fun, and you'll keep watching their like podcasts and shit. To any
Right.
man that's dismissed me or hurt me in any way, I'm like, I'll still be like on the fun bus over here with all the comedians.
Hey, don't say bus around that guy. He'll fucking lose his
Yeah,
mind.
you're right.
I'm
I
on the
can't say
fun bus.
He
He's
was like, I'm not getting on it. Not doing it. Then I moved in with them, and then he was obsessed with this war game, Aces High, and
Aces High.
It was like one of those
video
interactive
game?
war games. He would
Xbox?
Yeah, he pretended. This is so bad. I know you probably should wrap up.
No, but tell me.
He pretended on one of our first dates that he was fresh from the war in Iraq.
Wait, he
He invented a limp. I was like 24. Okay, I was like very dumb. It's like one of my first
but he was
New York
So
alcoholics.
he played a character.
Yeah, he played a character.
What a lovely guy.
And he had he faked a limp.
Did you
and
buy
then-
into this? Did you like enjoy this?
Of course, I was like, he's back from the war. I'm going to help him. I'm going to get him in therapy. Yes, I loved
God.
it. I was like, this is awesome.
This is stolen valor, by
like
the way.
a-
You're getting turned on by stolen valor.
Yes, I didn't know though at the
What
time.
gets my
I thought
pussy
I was
wet?
aroused by real valor.
Stolen valor. That's great.
And then so like he was like, and then like he came to watch me, and I bombed like violent bombing, like the kind of bomb where your depth perception is affected. Like you have to like hold things to get out the
right.
door. So by the time we were at the bar, I was just so shocked he was even still there. So when he told me that, I was just like, whatever, sure. Like, you know, like he's like, by the way, I have to tell you something. I'm not really from the war in Iraq. He also told me that he never thought he was going to see me again. Like he explained it in such a way that I was just like,
what are you going to do? You lie about the war. You lie
come
about
on, things are crazy.
the war. Moving on.
Yeah, you'll be hospitalized soon. Let's have some fun. So we just sat at the bar and like, yeah, made out after that or whatever. And then I moved in with him. But like he was yeah.
Your heart's just bigger than your brain. That's all that is.
Yeah.
You just are like, you're a good person.
I like to hear about people's childhoods. I'm fascinated with people's childhoods.
'Cause they're all
like when
fucked
you
up.
say that your dad like was away.
Yeah.
I'm like with that kid. I'm like, oh, I need it. Like I feel it. You know?
I had that stereotypical
I'm like, oh, he was going to. That must have been so scary. Like, I think it all.
I had the thing when like the dad would say he was going to come visit but never show up. Like
oh
like,
my god!
like one of those bad movies, you know, where you see like the kid on the front porch with a baseball glove and the dad never showed up. I literally had that happen.
Oh. And you're a really good man. Like that's fucking some shit. You could be.
Yeah, but I mean,
you could be a
I
dick.
I kill animals in the middle of the night. I will go kill local dogs and cats if they're
Sure.
stray. I will strangle them with my 2 hands and then eat them in the streets. No, but I think it's also because I had a great dad. My stepdad was.
That same as Sam. Sam had a really good stepdad,
Yeah, he was
so
great.
he
Yeah,
had
he
that.
did.
You need those figures in your life. That
Yeah, he had someone to like be on the other side of that. Now, granted, it doesn't make up for like.
there's a hole.
Well, it doesn't make up for the fact that you're bummed about how that still stuff happened. That
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, why would you not show up for a kid?
No, it's unthinkable to me. Unthinkable. To
Yeah,
me.
but then again, disease is disease.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I had balance, was because those moments I laugh about, because I just didn't register as hard because I had something else that mattered. Do you know what I mean?
And did your dad, your working dad, did he like explain or discuss? Was he analytical? Was he connected? Was he?
My stepdad? Mm-hmm. No.
But he was there.
He was
just
there. But the other world didn't exist to my stepdad and my mom.
What do you mean by other worlds?
Like my dad's side of the family. Like when my dad was out and about, and I would go see my Santino side and all that stuff. Like it, my mom didn't want anything to do with it. Didn't care. Like didn't was kind of like leave that. Like my dad smoked, and like every fucking dad. My dad smoked and would smoke inside. My whole family would smoke inside. Chicago, baby.
Yeah.
And I would come home to my mom's house, and I would fucking reek like cigarettes. And she'd make me change like in the garage sometimes. She'd be like, go take off those fucking cigarettes. So, because it was like, it reminded
Transferred
her
anger of her.
of my dad. Yeah.
It's not healthy.
So I would take off my shit in like the.
Oh my God, little Andrew taking off his little outfit. I can't. Like that hurts.
No,
You already had this fractured life.
No,
and
it wasn't
you're out
bad.
there, like,
It wasn't
taking
bad.
off little
No, you know what though? It
plastic
actually,
pants.
I hated the smell of my clothes too. Like I hated it. I hated the cigarettes. So, you know, I didn't mind it. Like it wasn't like I wasn't embarrassed by it.
You weren't
or anything.
embarrassed by it. You're just like, oh, this is what I do now.
Yeah, it was a part
When
of
I come
life.
back
It was
from
like, oh, you
dad's.
smell like smoke when you come back from that house because everybody smoked. All of them smoked.
Yeah.
So I just got used to it. You know, it
Yeah.
was just like a part of culture was that family smokes. This one doesn't smoke. And I would I'd shed my clothes.
So cute. Just imagine you out in the
my little penis and my little tidy whities walking through the house.
Taking it all off. It's so cute. It's
Yeah,
so cute.
yeah, no, but you know, I think like, yeah, you get to laugh about it when you get older too, because it's like every one of my friends has some kind of story.
Oh yeah.
So you learn, you're like, oh, it's all just different versions of stories.
And for me, I think it also helps to know like that it does take just one person. Like in my family, they were obviously very present, but like, you know, there was no boundaries and everything. My mom would share all these weird, dark stories about. That's probably why I'm like this. Obviously, about other people's pain and people that she like all her.
Well, that's definitely from your mom.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
Yeah, she would always her more heavy. Like I would always want to make it light, you know. But like she would share these weird, gnarled, and then my dad would just try to make everybody laugh. Like my brother. Oh yeah, so I was going to tell you before. So my other guy in the Vomitones, he worked at this hospital that was like very important. He's like high up psychiatrist at this medical center in South Carolina. My dad would send him these emails again and again from Father Feinstein, this priest character my dad made up, and he'd be like, "Hey, it's Father Feinstein. It's going to be a great week. I'm planning on there's going to be a bushel of boys delivered here, and you will bet I will just rape the bejesus out of each and every one of them. God is good, and He protects and provides. He has a plan, and that plan is to deliver me the sweetest, youngest bushel of boy ass that I could ever hope for. Love, I hope things are going well in your court. Love, Father Feinstein." And so he would send these emails, and they have a shared email. My parents, goodness, they're old. Sure. And Mom would be like, "Howard, stop sending those damn emails about the priest to David's work email. It bothers him." He's like, "I don't know that. I'm not sure. You might be out of line. You might enjoy him." So apparently, finally, David called my dad, and he was like, "Listen, Howard, love the priest fucking children emails. Really fun. Keep them coming.
Good bit.
But if you don't mind, if you could just move them on over to my personal email address." Such a reasonable request.
Yeah, normal request, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, my secretary does read those, and it's just a lot of priest fucking children emails. And again, just bump on the Father Feinsteins over to my personal address. My dad's famous for this. "Not a problem. Glad you brought it up. Must have been hard for you. It's not going to happen again." He used to do that all the time. And then the next day.
Glad you brought it up.
Yes. And the next day, no interruption. Just the same constant.
Are you happy you grew up with that kind of guy, that dad?
Yes, no, I think he's really funny.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is like there was so much chaos in my house, and like now I look back and I'm like, it just takes like one person to be like kind of start that trail of like, oh, now I go to therapy and learn more reasonable boundaries and date people that are in less emergency states of alarm or learn how to have but like I remember this one, I really thought I caused all the dysfunction, all the craziness of my mom and dad, and my mom just crying about all her people she worked with in social work. I'm like, oh, that was inappropriate. Like she shouldn't have been home weeping to me about, she shouldn't have picked me up from play dates and been like, "Did I tell you Karen Jerkinson was assaulted?" Like I'm 11. It ruined her sex life with Roger. It absolutely ruined it because he felt he couldn't protect her and he wasn't aroused.
You're just coloring your,
yes. I'm like, she'd be like, just the weirdest, darkest details of everything. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh, there's a different way. But there was one teacher that I had, much like your, stepdad. It was obviously you needed a much more present figure. But like, I remember being in a class and she was like, "Oh, you're." I went to the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and she was like, "You're smart." And I was like, me? Like, she's talking about me. I'm an asshole. I'm like a wild asshole, you know? And she was like, no, you're smart. You say and write smart things and you care about other people and you're a good person. I was just like, me? Like I cause all of my parents suffering because I have ADD and I make things, you know, I'm messy and I'm bad, you know? But just her saying that, I still remember I was standing, like my dumb high school outfit, you know? I remember that conversation. So I feel like it takes like one figure like that. That's it, you know? And then I was like, but my mom's really unhappy about me. She's really sad because she's always crying about me. She's like, no, she's just crying because she's sad. Like you can't, that's got nothing to do with you.
Who said that to you?
That teacher.
Do you remember her name?
Yeah. Suzanne Bornsweig.
Shout out to Bornsweig if you're out there. We need more people like you.
Yeah.
All right, listen. This has been so much fucking fun. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you are going to go back on tour, tell the people what's your website.
Rachel-Feinstein.com.
Rachel-Feinstein.com.
I know it shouldn't be a dash.
We end the show with one word or one phrase. So it used to be a word, then it became a phrase because people didn't know. They would be like, I don't want just one word. You could say a phrase, a word or a phrase. It's up to you. And you say it into that camera when you're ready. It's going to end the episode, and that will be cemented in history forever. So one word or one phrase into that camera when you're ready.
Can it be one that we've used before?
Whatever you want.
Perhaps stolen from someone else?
It can be anything that you want. Look in that camera.
Never in the ass and hide your wallet.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You were that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.